Yes, sir.
So in our previous class, we had gone through a program wherein multiple if else or nested if else, okay, combination of all those we have seen in the previous example. Now look into this one particular scenario when we are looking into the programs or the solutions which involve nested, not nested, basically the LC ladders. If you observe the LC ladder programs, so far what we have studied, the one which I have highlighted in the lines, the line number 36 to line number 43. Look at here, there are multiple conditions to be evaluated. Okay, when the problem requires multiple conditions or the multiple branchings, okay, then we try to put the conditions in an else if ladder format. If this condition so and so is true, then you perform the activity or execute this particular step. If this is false, then go for the checking of another condition like this. If this condition is true, then perform this statement execution. If the second condition is also false, then go for the third condition. Okay, and then if the third condition is true, then perform this statement execution. Okay, and look at here, if none of the conditions are true, then you go ahead and execute the statement which is placed inside the else. So isn't it something kind of like a default statement? When none of the conditions are true, go ahead and execute the default statement. I can say it to be a kind of a default statement. Right? So we're trying to perform or trying to compare multiple conditions, or we're trying to validate multiple conditions. If any one of the condition is true, then only perform this particular execution and then skip. If none of the conditions are true, then go to the last else part. That last else part is something called as a default over here, right? Now, just think of a problem when there are many conditions have to be validated. If the particular problem requires many branching statements or the many branching conditions to be evaluated. In this case, there are only 3 conditions, and including the default, it is 4 conditions basically, right? Suppose if a program consisting of more than 5, more than 10, right? In such cases, does it have a little bit problem in understanding the problem? When particular which condition has to be evaluated, if that is true, then what are the statements have to be executed, how the flow is happening, will become little bit problematic. The understanding of the problem will become problematic, right? So in order to handle those things, okay, if we don't want to get into mess with those multiple conditions and validating the multiple conditions, okay, then there is another type of the control statement. Basically, we call it to be a switch case statements. We call it to be a switch case statements. It is something like this. Switch case means if the given condition is true, look from the given set of all the possible values, and if there is any match, only then to execute that one. You might have seen in the mobile phones and all. In order to check the balance on your mobile device, you may just, depending upon your service provider, you may press *123# kind of a code. Have you observed those things? Whenever you press, say, *123# on your mobile phone, it will pop up a certain kind of a menu options. It will give you a menu options. In the menu options, it will be like, press 1 to check the balance, press 2 to check the offers, like different options will be given. And then what you do, you just select one of the options over there, 1, 2, 3, or any of the options you select, and then press enter button. Isn't it? Have you observed those things on your mobile phone? Have you ever observed that one?
Yes, sir. Observed.
Yes, right? What about others?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, what actually this particular concept is, there is some code is written in the software or in that particular program, wherein it is asking, or it is just displaying kind of a menu items. Okay, press 1 for that activity, press 2 for that activity, like that different options it will display. Then user will press one of the option. When they press the one of the option, what will happen? The corresponding functionality will occur there, or the corresponding, suppose if the one is for the checking the balance, then when the user presses 1 and then enter, then it will list you the balance available in your account. Or suppose if the 2 is for the what purpose, say assume it to be for the offers which is applicable to your mobile number. Then if you just press 2 and then enter, then the different types of offers which are there will be displayed to you. So that particular concept can be implemented, okay, by writing a code in the form of multi-way branching statements. And in that multi-way branching statement, there is a concept called as a switch case statements. There is a concept called as an switch case statements. Let's see the syntax of that particular switch case here. Let us try to understand what the syntax is. Now, the syntax is something like this, which I have written here. Pay attention and try to understand. This is very, very important concept. You need to understand it thoroughly. Okay. Now, why I said the switch case? Because in this syntax, there are certain keywords which I have used as a switch. Okay. And then case. Look at here, switch and case. Now, switch, as I said, it is a multi-way branching. Multi-way branching. Multi-way branching means what? There are multiple ways it can execute through, right? So what are those multiple ways? That multiple ways will be identified by the expression which the switch statement takes. Now look at here, switch is a keyword, and within the switch, see there is an open and close bracket, and it is taking an expression. This expression is nothing but, it can be an integer value, it can be an integer value, it can be a character value, or it can be even an arithmetic expression. Okay, it can be arithmetic expression. It can even be a sometime a logical, it can be a relational expression also sometime. But what it means is that it gives us a value here. Okay, this particular expression gives us a value. Okay, that value will be always in the form of two terms, either as an integer value or it can be in a character value. It can be in an integer or it can be a character value. Now let us try to focus upon the first part, that is how when the expression is in the form of an integer value. So what actually by integer value? It can have the numbers like this, 1, 2, 3, right? Different numbers can be displayed over there. This particular expression can have the values like this, integer values. Okay, now depending upon the what value this particular expression results in, then the corresponding case will be executed. What we mean by that one? Okay, the statement is depending upon the expression, the what value of the expression, the corresponding case will be executed. Corresponding case means what? Now suppose this case is, now look at here, case again is a keyword. After the case there is a space. Look at here, there is a space, then there is a label 1. Okay, this label 1, for your understanding, I will write it to be a continuous word, just to not to misjudge about the spaces there. There is a label 1. Label 1 is something, suppose for an example, the previous example what I have taken related to the USSD code, that is *123#. Okay, then you get a menu items, right? If you press 1, something has to be done, right? That 1 is what? The 1 is the value of the expression. Then corresponding to that, the case has to be executed. Suppose if the expression 1 is resulting, expression is resulting in a label 1, the value 1, then the corresponding label 1 will be executed. That means here after the label there is a colon. This colon is also a part of the syntax, means mandatorily we need to write this colon. After this colon, the number of statements what we write, it could be one statement or it could be a group of statements, or it could be a block as well, right? All those statements will be executed. Okay, and then look at the last statement. There is something again, a keyword is there. What that keyword is? Called as break. Break means the execution will begin. Suppose if the match is found here, execution will begin. It will execute all the statements, and the last statement is break. Break means don't further execute all these statements. You skip it up to where? Up to this particular switch is completed. Switch, where does it complete? It gets completed on the closing flower bracket, right? So when this break is executed, all these will be skipped. Okay, further comparison will not happen, and then it will fall outside this particular statement. So the remaining statements will be executed. Remaining statements will be executed. Okay. Now suppose if this expression is not the one value, it is a value 2. Then it will try to compare the case 1. Case 1 mismatch will be there. So case 1 will not be executed. Then it will go to the case 2 value comparison. Now case 2 value and the expression value, if they match, then the corresponding statements will be executed, and then there will be a break statement. So like this, the expression value will try to compare from top to bottom, case by cases, if there is a match found between the expression value and the label value. If the match is found between the expression value and the case value, then corresponding statements inside the case will be executed and followed by the break statement. So once the break is executed, further statements of the switch will not be executed. Then it will fall on to the next statements or the remaining statements after the switch will be followed through. Now, there could be possibility that the expression value doesn't match with all the case values. We could have written 3 case values, or we could have written 100 case values, but the expression value doesn't match with all those case values. Then what has to be done? In such cases, it has to execute the default statements. So default statement means, this particular case means when none of the values matches with the given expression value. If none of the case values matches with the given expression value, then the default statements will be executed. Okay, once the default case statements are executed, then followed by the break, then it will go to the remaining statements. Okay, this is how the switch case will work. Let us see a simple program based upon this, then you will be able to understand what the expression value is, what the case value is, and how the flow of the execution happens. Just remember as of now that in switch case syntax, what are the important things? First one is the switch keyword. Within its brackets, it takes an expression. It can be arithmetic expression. It can take the integer values. It can take a character values. But remember, this expression cannot give a floating point values. Means we cannot write a statement or the numbers which consist of a floating values. It is an invalid. Okay, it can only take integers, as well as it can even take the characters also, single characters also. Okay, then after the switch, open and corresponding close brackets, and within that one we can write the cases. In order to write the case, we need to first write the case followed by the label. The label can have the numbers also, it can have also the characters. Okay, then followed by the label, then there will be a colon mandatorily. If you miss to write the colon, it will give the syntax errors. After colon, we can write the corresponding statements. It can have one statement, it can have multiple statements also. And after writing all the statements corresponding to that particular case, the break statement has to be written. Okay, once this break is executed, the further execution will stop, it will skip, or we can say it will break from the switch statement and the remaining statement will be executed, right? If none of the case values matches with the expression value, then there is something called as a default case, and this default case will be executed. Okay, in this way, the switch case, the flow of execution will be done. Okay, depending upon the what expression it is resulting in and the what type of the value it is getting matched. Okay, now let us simply let us try to write a simple program based upon this switch case. Okay, right. I will take a very simple example. Okay, days of the week, right? Now let us write a program. Days, shall we start the days of the week from Monday up to Sunday. What it will do is that, suppose if I press 1, then it will say Monday. If I press 2, it will say Tuesday. Like this. Okay, if I further press say 7, it will say Sunday. Right, in middle we will have all those numbers. Suppose if I press other than 1 to 7 options, if I press other than 1 to 7, like say suppose if I press 10, It should say that, okay, invalid number. Okay, invalid number. In this way, we are going to write a program in order to perform these activities. We want to display the days of the week. Okay, and in order to display these days of the week, we will ask user to enter corresponding numbers. 1 is for the Monday, 2 is for the Tuesday, 3 is for the Wednesday. Like that, 7 will be for the Sunday. And apart from 1 to 7, if user enters any other number, it should display as invalid number. Is that program statement understood now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let us write the program for that. stdio.h. Okay, then void main. Let us say int main. If it is an int main, how we need to write? Int main, then open bracket, close bracket, and as a last statement, return 0. Okay, next. Now what we want user to enter one number, right? So we need a variable for that. Int, say n. Printf, enter a number. Okay, enter a number. Let us read that number and store it into a variable n. So to read that one, scanf is the statement. Since it is an integer, %d. Okay, then comma, ampersand n, semicolon. Okay, now what we want to perform, based upon that particular number, corresponding case has to be executed. So we need to have a switch case here. Say switch. Okay. Switch. Okay, then corresponding cases I'm going to write within this block. Now the expression I need to write here, right? I need to write an expression. Now look at the program statement here. What we want to perform, if the user enters 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5, or any other number, corresponding statement has to be executed. Okay, that means what? The expression value is what here? The expression value is the what user enters the number. Whatever the user enters the number, that will become the value of this expression. So what user is entering here? User is entering a number and which is stored in the variable called as an n. So isn't it that the expression here will be the n over here? Because the n, depending upon the n value, suppose if the user enters 1, then corresponding cases will be executed. If the user enters 2, then the corresponding case will be executed. That means the expression value is stored where? It is stored in the variable n here. Is that understood? Why I wrote n in place of the expression?
Sir, please explain once again.
Yes. Now, as per the syntax of the switch is, we need to write a switch, okay, and then expression, right? Now, expression is what? This particular expression will give us a particular value. Based upon that value, corresponding case will be executed, right? Suppose, if expression value is 1, then the corresponding case will be executed. Corresponding case means there will be certain cases over here, like case 1. Okay, then there will be a corresponding statements here. Okay, after the statements, there will be a break. There will be a break. Now, in the syntax earlier, what I had written there, the label 1 written there, right? Label 1 was there and the corresponding case was there. So how the switch case will work? Listen carefully, the value of the expression will match, it will try to match or compare with the value of the cases. If there is a match found, then the corresponding case will be executed. Now, the expression, we need to find out what type of expression we are supposed to write here. If you look into this program concept, we need to perform the finding the days of the week depending upon the number associated that day. We had linked 1 for the Monday, 2 for the Tuesday, and in the same way 7 is for the Sunday. Correct. Now we are asking user to enter a number, and that number we are storing in where? Storing in the variable n. Now suppose if the user has entered 1, what we should display? We should display it to be a Monday. If user has entered, suppose 2, then we have to display it to be a Tuesday, right? So depending upon this value of the n, corresponding case has to be executed. That means, as per the syntax, the switch expression, right? This switch expression should have a particular variable here. Which variable now? The variable n which I have declared here. So if the user has entered value 1, then the corresponding case will be executed. Okay, that is, suppose if the case label, I need to update my case label here. If user is entering 1, then corresponding case 1 has to be executed. How it is? Now look at the statement here. When, suppose, take this example only. Program will execute. When I run the program, it start execution. It will say enter a number and assume I press number 1. That number 1, that digit 1 is stored where? It is stored in the variable n. Now switch n. Switch n means what is the value of n here? It is 1. Value of n is 1 here. Now this value 1 has to be compared with what? The cases which I write in this particular switch case statements. Now when 1 is pressed, what I want to perform? I want to display a statement, right? What statement? Printf Monday. I want to display this statement. Since I want to display a Monday word, then I have written a corresponding statement for that one, right? How this will be executed, how this will be statement will be printed, depending upon this case value, that is this expression value, if it matches with the case value. The expression is having 1, assuming here to be 1. In that case, the case I have 1 here. The label value is 1 here. Means 1 and 1 will be compared. It will find that this 1 and 1 both are same. The comparison results in a true value. That means it has to enter into this particular case 1 and execute all the statements of this. So there is only one statement, printf statement it will execute, and there is another statement. Actually that statement is what? Break. Break means it has to come out of the switch. So it will come out of the switch over here. Now assume that if this expression is resulting other than 1, means suppose if user enters 2, if I enter the value to be 2, then case 1, the switch n is what? Switch n value is 2 in this case. Then I know that when the user enters 2, what I need to do? I need to print as Tuesday, right? In order to handle that one, I need to write one more case here. So what that case will be? Case 2, then colon. Case 2 and then colon. Then if that is so, what should be done? I have to display one word here. What is that word? Printf Tuesday. Printf Tuesday and then break statement. Then break statement. Now how this will be taken place? Okay. Now assume now I am entering value 2 at this particular statement. So n is having 2 value here. 2 means what? The switch n means it will give the value to be 2. Okay, we know the approach is what? Top to bottom. So it will try to find out whether this 2, is this 2 present in the case 1 value? It will try to compare. Is this 2 equals to 1? It is something like this. At this stage, it will try to perform is 2 equals to 1. This 2 is taken from what? The switch expression, and this RHS1 is taken from the case value. Is 2 equals to 1? No, it is false. Means it will skip this part. Then it will go to the next case. In the next case, what we have, the value is 2. That means is 2 equals to 1? Sorry, is 2 equals to 2? This 2 is what? The n value, and the RHS2 is what? It is the case value. So is the comparison successful here? Yes, comparison successful. That means now the switch is matching with the switch expression value is matching with the case label 2 here. If the match is found, then the printf or the corresponding statements inside this case will be executed. What are the statements? Printf Tuesday. will be displayed, and then break. Break means you skip the switch statement and go to the out of the switch statement. Okay, now assume that in the next time, suppose when I run, I enter the value 3 here. I'm entering the number to be 3. That means my switch expression is resulting in a 3 value. Then what will happen? The 3 will compare with what? This case 1. So 3 will compare with the case 1. It is false. Then the 3 is compared with the case 2. In this case also 3 equals to 2. That is also false. Then what has to be done? I have to write a corresponding case for that in order to handle the 3 number. Okay. In that case, what I should write here? Case, okay, 3 colon, colon, and then corresponding statement for that. What statement? Printf Wednesday. Printf Wednesday, and then followed by break statement. Now, as I explained earlier, when I entered the number to be 3, 3 will be compared with 1. 3 is equals to 1. No. Then is 3 is equals to 2? No. Then is 3 is equals to 3 here? Yes, 3 is equals to 3. Comparison is resulting in a true condition, true value here. If it is true, then the corresponding case statements means these are the statements here. Execute these 2 statements. It will print Wednesday, and then the break. Break means skip the following execution, go to the end of the switch case. Now tell me, in this particular program, how many cases I need to write? Since there are 7 days in a week, then how many cases I have to write?
8 cases.
8 cases. No, first tell me how many cases. Default you have to exclude.
So 7 cases.
7
7
cases.
cases, right?
Ex-
7
ex-
cases. Now,
Excluding
case
default, it is 7.
4, case 4. In case 4, what I should write?
Thursday.
Thursday, right? Then after the printf statement, what should
Break.
I write?
Break.
Break. Right? Then next statement case is for what? Case. What value of
Case 5.
I have to write? 5.
ID.
Then printf. What I should write here? Friday.
Friday.
Correct? Then break. Then case 6. Case 6 colon. Colon is a mandatory. Remember that. Then corresponding to 6th case, I should write printf Saturday. Then break. Then last case, that is 7. Then here what I should write? Printf, say Sunday. Break. Okay. Now look at here. Suppose if I enter the value here to be 7. Assume I'm entering the value here as the 7. Now what will happen? 7 will, this value is what? 7. 7 will try to compare with each of the case values. So in the first case value is 1. Is 7 equals to 1? No. It will skip this one. Then it will come to the next case. Is 7 equals to 2? No. Next case, is 7 equals to 3? No. In the same way, it will try to compare each case values until the match is successful or match is found. Now at this line number 38, that 7 equals to 7 results in a true value. That means what? The case value has switch and the case values are same here. That means the case matching is found. Then execute the corresponding statements. What are the statements? Printf Sunday will be displayed and then followed by the break statement. So break will get terminated. It will just terminate the case blocks here. Now assume if I'm entering here instead of 7, I'm entering 8 here. What will happen? It will start comparing each of the cases. It will never found the matching value, isn't it? The expression value is 8 and it will never find the corresponding case value which has. In that case, what I should write? I should say it is an invalid number, right? In such cases, I want to display a default value or a default statement, a invalid number. In such case, I need to have default here. Default, then a colon. And here I can write printf, okay, printf invalid number, and then break. Okay, understood this one? Let us quickly execute the statement. Meanwhile, you can enter your attendance, students. Meanwhile, you can enter your. We'll just quickly execute the program. GCC. This is switch. Switch. Okay. Hash include the spelling. Hash include. Okay. Clear. Sorry. Clear. Then compile again. No errors now. Dot slash a dot out. Enter a number. Let us say now I enter value. What is expected when I enter a 9 value?
Invalid.
See, invalid number. Now I will enter 1. It says Monday. When I enter 2, it says Tuesday. Suppose when I enter 5, it says Friday. 6, Saturday. 7, Sunday. If I enter 100 or 1000, it says invalid number. Now, how the program is executing here? It will take the value what I enter, that value will be stored where? It will be stored into the variable n. And for the switch here, I'm giving the expression, and that expression contains the value of the n here. Corresponding n, the corresponding case will be executed. Match found, then the corresponding statement. Go on mode, students. If there is no match found, then the corresponding, the last statement, that is the default, will be executed. Isn't it similar to the what the nested else if, not nested, the ladder else if, where n is greater than, if n is equals to 1, Monday. If n is equals to 2, Tuesday. If n is equals to 3, Wednesday. In the same way, you go on putting the else if statement until the last one, that is, if that n value is equals to 7, then it to be Sunday, else invalid number, right? The same, the else if ladder, we are trying to put into a proper, very understandable code here. Look at here how the code readability is easy here. Depending upon the value, the corresponding case will be executed. So what you need to remember here is that the keywords and the syntax. Keyword switch, within the brackets, the expression, then the open and curly close brackets, then inside that the cases. Remember that we should never have two cases which will result in a same value like this. If I write 1 over here, case is this also is 1, this is also. What will happen if we write? It will give us the errors. It will give us the error. Duplicate case values, right? Duplicate case values. Line number 26 and